There you go. I feel like this is like a speed run here. And this week we have our special guest this week is going to be Mr. Operator Perry. Why don't you say what's up?
What's up? This is Operator Perry.
So usually when we have some guests on, we like to ask you a few questions. So why don't you talk a little bit about your background in gaming? What kind of consoles did you? Well, how old are you first of all?
I am 20.
You're 20,
Yes.
and you are in college right now. Am I correct?
Yep, you are correct.
And you're going to school for what are you going to school for again? Just watched your commentary today, and so I feel like
I'm going for digital filmmaking and video production, so it's good
I don't
stuff.
know. So
Yeah.
you and Adam, you know that Adam's an editor by
Ta-da!
trade? Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
I graduated with a degree in television, film, and new media production.
Why
And
we why haven't we talked before? That's
we are distant. We are distant. I apologize. You don't break that rule. No way.
You
I
don't
love
break the
that.
odd job rule, man. That's
Yeah,
voodoo.
seriously.
It's so good. So okay, so why don't you explain Top Notch Multimedia? How did that come about? I mean, first of all,
Um,
who are you in case people don't follow YouTube, right? So
I guess the way that most people know me, like when I come into a lobby in a game, is for my
Yell,
commentating on
yell
the
it.
top. I'm not doing it. I made a video today, okay? I got number one top favorite today in entertainment. So I think I've said it for the last time.
No, you didn't.
No, you're right. I did. I'll say it again if someone hits it. I'm not saying the Q word. I refuse. So I do a top plays on Top Notch Multimedia, and that's kind of a thing that I didn't anyway.
yeah.
And it's something I didn't even want to do to begin with, but they knew who helped me start it, Mishu and a bunch of other people. I'm not even gonna name everyone because I'm afraid I'm gonna leave someone out. Someone's gonna be offended. So a bunch of people, and they're like, "Why don't you do the countdown? You talk over it because you have a microphone." I said, "Okay, I'll do it. Whatever." That's kind of how it started, and now here I am. So
How
whatever.
many
So
subs does that channel
who
have?
came up to well, Trump, why don't you pimp it out what we're doing here? Because you're the guy that's going to be taking the reins on it in terms of reader mail.
Okay, reader mail. We have a ton of people following this podcast now, which we thank you all, and we're happy that you guys think we're interesting. Um, and what we're going to do is we set up an email. It is going to be hostmigration@gmail.com. If you guys have any questions, anything that you think we should cover,
We should specify it really quick, Trump. Don't, in terms of, and make sure that the email is only used for questions. Some of you guys have been adding, your feelings and responses in relation to the podcast, and to try to minimize the amount of messages, because Trump's going to be taking the duty of mailman, and I think that he would definitely appreciate it if you guys, that if you'd like to tell us anything personal, go ahead and come to our YouTube channels, whether it be mine or Hutch's, Perry's or Trump's, and you can leave your comments there. But if you have any specific questions for topics you'd like to have discussed, then go ahead and shoot an email there. So
yes, and that is hostmigration@gmail.com. Just questions.
So there you go. There's your reader mail, and I picked out this comment from Ben. It's all it says is Ben on our Podbean page. You can actually leave a comment on the podcast themselves, and there's usually about 115, 130 on each podcast. And this guy Ben, I really liked his feedback. He makes a few corrections on what we said last week, and so I picked his out, and I wanted to read some of that to you guys, and then maybe we can just respond to that on the fly here. But so he starts off by saying IGN and similar sites make a fair amount of revenue from advertisers. Most of those advertisers are game companies. It'd be pretty naive to think that this has no impact on reviews. Money makes things weird. But the money thing aside, I think that there are far better reasons to be skeptical about game reviews, especially multiplayer competitive games. First of all, reviews are totally subjective. It is that reviewer's opinion, so don't be shocked if you find that you don't agree with it. Despite IGN calling something an 8.3 whatever, don't confuse a review score with the actual objective science. So here he's kind of, I don't know, I thought he was really eloquent with what he was talking about. He was basically just making reference to the fact that all reviews are subjective. And it's something like a point system, like 1 to 10, especially when it gets into like really arbitrary decimal points, like 7.4, it's just kind of, I don't know, retarded in my personal opinion. And you did a good job of explaining that. Do you guys have thoughts on
Well, I think we touched on this last week. I know Adam did. Saying,
yeah, I think this is exactly what I was talking about in terms of not fully trusting big businesses. In terms of, I was saying that I'm more likely to trust the individual person. I think Blame Truth was talking about people that he personally trusted in relation to their opinion. And I feel the same way in terms of, I think word of mouth from people like us is extremely more powerful than somebody, like you said, one person, possibly maybe. I was gonna say, what do you think about the multiplayer for Resident Evil 5?
I didn't even touch it because that's just that takes away from the experience that I had with Resident Evil over the years. I don't want to play with other people. I'm okay with playing with another character, but not with another person. Not say inviting somebody else and playing with them. I'm just not. That's the whole Resident Evil thing.
See, I never played Resident Evil, but what I heard about that game was that it was actually subpar without co-op, and that co-op actually made it a whole lot better in terms of the all-around experience.
I'm jaded just because I'm so engulfed in the story anyway. I don't care. I want to know. I honestly want to play it because I want to know what happens to the characters, Chris Redfield, Joe Valentine, because they've been in it for so long. So I'm kind of a nerd about that because I really want to follow the story.
Really quick, I'm sorry, I keep wanting to ask you this question. What are your thoughts in terms of, because like old Resident, like I'm a fan of like Resident Evil 2, like back. Is that right? Yeah, no, we're good. If there's any other closing statements, I guess anybody can bring them up now.
I don't know, Billy, do you have anything else to say on the topic of having fun and the ego and all that stuff with the YouTube vids?
I guess I can say that I've transformed over the past few months that I've been engulfed in all this YouTube stuff. Before, I have to be honest, I've kind of been an asshole, and I kind of like to troll and argue. It was fun, but I don't really like to do that anymore. I'm trying to build my reputation a little better. I used to have a lot of people that would hate me, so now I'm trying to change that to get more people to like me. So I don't know.
I will tell you is remember when you were making Terra Firma? I don't know if you ever saw this. I doubt you did. But after you said that you scrapped it, I actually made it for you. Don't worry.
He made a montage of his own gameplay, and he called it Terra Firma.
Did you? No, I didn't see that.
I had the worst cinematics you could ever imagine. I mean, in the beginning cinematic, you saw someone sign in, and you could hear people talking in the background. And I did it all for you, Barry.
That's great. I appreciate that. That's really.
Because you were known nice. for the super long, like 5-minute introductions.
Oh yeah, I would love to do
I figured I would make something really terrible, and then just slap some gameplay on it.
Oh, I deserved it. So.
Who are some notable people that you've feuded with on YouTube?
Do we even want to do this? That's a bad idea. He's trying to change his reputation.
No. Because
this is a while.
Listen, this is perfect because I just